hit the record button. So as long as I remember to record it, I will post it. So I am recording this as of now. So unfortunately, you can't access yesterday's because I didn't hit record. But hopefully I keep remember to do that. What's preventing the golf course from opening? What's the likely date that might open? So take you back on the golf course side of things. So, really efforts initially was just on storm cleanup. And you probably saw we had, crews out in force, basically went hole to hole. It took them about 9-10 days to get through all 18 holes. Right now, our crews are working on bunkers. And most of the bunkers, we think we can get into playable condition with some work. There will be some bunkers that took extensive damage that will need to be renovated. We can see those being closed off for the immediate future as ground under repair. So that's happening right now. The other thing that's happening that'll start happening either this weekend or early next week is we've identified the rest of the trees that were damaged that need to come down that we haven't been able to take care of in-house, and then all of the stump removals and then fill in of those areas. So that'll happen next week. But on top of that, the real issue with opening the golf course, once you get past the cleanup and bunker prep, is really about the turf. So, saltwater intrusion on Bermuda grass is not good. There are processes to go through. And in our case, it's really 2 different application scrubs that we need to do to make sure that salt water doesn't get down into the soil profile and the root system. So one application was done. I believe either this weekend or early next week, the second application will be put in. And we're hopeful at that time, we are confident enough we can go back to our normal agronomic processes in terms of fertilizing, water, et cetera, to get the golf course to come back into condition that will support play. And the other issue that's challenging right now is we were very fortunate that the pump house and all the pumps and all the electronics, even though they took water, were salvaged. They all work. However, our holding lake that's backed by the maintenance facility that gives us all the water we use for all irrigation has 10 times the normal salt content. So we can't use that water to water the turf in mass because all it will do is contaminate the turf with salt. So we're going through a process, and it's a long process of releasing that water and then getting to a point where we can then bring on, if there is such a term, the good reclaimed water that doesn't have salt content. So that's happening ongoing as well. So time frame wise, I think worst case scenario, we're looking at sometime in early November. Best case scenario, we're probably looking at maybe a couple of weeks, but it's really going to be dependent on how the turf responds once they're able to get back out there and actually manage the turf with the right water, the right fertilizers and things like that. But we are working towards that. So and we will keep you updated as we get closer. But that's probably the best timeline I can give you at this point. Next question: are evaporators being covered as well as the condenser? So I think this is all about estate homes and villa homes. It's not about the association. So, but I'll quickly answer the question. Yes, in the associations under the master flood policy, the entire AC unit is covered if it took water damage. But if you want to hit me up privately or jump back on the 2:00 call, we can go into more detail. What about showers and tubs? Again, it's association. But yeah, showers and tubs, ceramic tile, that's all under the master flood. So somebody's asking, what does the decision about first floor units mean for estate home and villa homes? So, I guess it doesn't mean anything in terms of occupancy, but, I think everybody has to make, their own personal decisions in regards to what we're dealing with in terms of water intrusion. An association has to make those decisions at the association level for all unit owners. So when they make a decision, it applies to everybody that would be impacted. As an estate or villa homeowner, you guys have more autonomy to decide what you want to do. And what I would encourage you to do, do your research. But you know, what the associations have said is we're going to follow the gold standard for remediation of this kind of water. But as we know, you don't always have to do the gold standard. There's always standards that are less than that that can get you by. I mean, that's, you know, without trying to offer professional advice, that's my opinion is, you know, you've kind of got to make those decisions. But I can't imagine that the water that infiltrated villa homes and estate homes is any different than what we've tested in the association. So you're dealing with the same Cat 3 water, which is black water. And, you know, if there's a ugly, scary name of any bacteria out there, then there's a chance that that bacteria is in that water. It's just black is basically a catch-all for anything that is bad. And it, quite honestly, from what I'm learning, it's worse than mold because mold can be cleaned. But some of this bacteria doesn't need moisture to grow. So just because something's dried out doesn't necessarily mean that you've cleared that bacteria. If it was in there and it doesn't need moisture to grow, that bacteria could still be alive in that porous material, and it could cause, you know, negative effects down the road. Probably anything imminent today, but it's the fact that potentially that living organism is inside that wood. And that could certainly create issues. So I know I danced around that question, but I think that's really a decision everybody kind of has to make. And I'd encourage you to do some research. And like with all issues out there, you're going to find information probably across the board on exactly how to handle it. And I'm sure some people will not do the gold standard and be fine. But that's the choice the associations made was to do this at 100% because that's really what their responsibility is. So it's a quiet group today. I don't see any more questions. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to think some things up if you want. If I happen to miss one of your questions, I'm going back just to double check. I apologize. Put it on there, please. Here's one. Can we store stuff in our garages? I'm assuming this is somebody in an association asking this question, because obviously if you're in the estate home villa homes, you can do whatever you want in your garages. But if you're in an association and you want to store things, I would strongly suggest that you keep everything in the middle of your garage, because the next stage of restoration in that area will be coming in there and getting that drywall and things like that cut. So, I mean, you know, your personal property, if it's damaged, you should get it out of there in the junk pile. And if it's not, I think you should push it to the middle of your garage to make it easier for these guys to work around. Any major points from yesterday? So I think yesterday we talked about garbage. You know, update on that. I mean, if somebody was on the call yesterday and they remember a great question or something, please throw it on the chat. I'm trying to remember if anything, you know, was breaking. So help me out on that. Repeat when the piles will be picked up, please. We have junk and palm trees. Yeah. So what we do now have a contact at Lee County. We filled out, there was a right to entry form that they required us to sign that allows them to come in to our community. So that has been done. Scott did a great job. I was able to actually get the contact of somebody at Lee County. And so we have a direct line now, but what she reported was they're finishing up in Iona. She expects that to be completed by early next week. And then those crews will start to work their way down towards us, Winkler Road. And so she said it could be as early as next week that we see them come in. And when they come in and they're here, they're going to go house to house, street to street. They're going to have trucks that are picking up the debris, the housing remnants, et cetera. And then they're going to have trucks that are picking up the piles of landscape debris as well. So we're hopeful that we see that process start in earnest next week. And I think it'll really, keep everybody's at least mental health in a more positive direction if we get all that junk out of here. So are we planning a big celebration at the end of this? I would think we are. Chris is on the Zoom call, so Chris will definitely plan a big celebration. I promise you that. Yes. And probably a multiple day one. Yes. If owners leave a car on site, should they leave a key? Should they leave a car? If they leave a car in their garage, if owners leave a car on site, should they leave a a car in the garage. I wouldn't, if you're an association, obviously I'm assuming this is what that question is. I wouldn't leave it in your garage because that's only going to make it problematic to get in there and remediate that. So no, I would park it in your driveway, or find another place to park it. Again, will they be removing showers and tubs, Wedgwood owner? Almost indefinitely. I mean, unless there's verifiable proof that the water didn't get underneath that area. At the very least, they're going to cut the tile around that area, which is going to make those showers and baths inoperable. But yeah, I mean, the thought is if there's any chance that that water got under the tub into the subfloor, then that calls for total remediation. So. Yeah, Ms. Michonne, it's a good question. I just emailed back your husband. Absolutely. If you all, Estate and Villa Homes, if you guys want to work as a community and if you want to do it separately, that's fine. If you all want to coordinate a list of tree work that needs to be done, we will use our resources and our contractors to try to plan that work for you. So no problem there. If somebody or if a group of y'all can get together and provide us a list. We have Crawford on site next week for the golf course. They're the ones that trimmed your palms and they do excellent work. I could easily see them moving right over at that point when they're done with the golf course into the estate or Villa Homes, and we'd be happy to coordinate that. And Pete and I will work on that. So yeah, please coordinate that list and get it to me as soon as possible. And we can always add to it, but that'll give us a starting point. So will Lexington be cleaning up landscape debris between houses? Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you said that. We actually started with a preliminary cleanup crew yesterday in the estate homes, working our way around to the Villa Homes, doing some initial cleanup of yards and landscape areas with the small stuff. We are thinking that's going to take us the better part of a week, and we think we'll be back to a normal mow schedule for those two communities the week of the 24th. And I did mention yesterday that the other issue we need to resolve is we're trying to get some contract help to do this because it's a big task, but we need to go through and perform wet checks on all of your irrigation because we may have heads broken, but we also may have some lines that are broken. They're not that far on the ground. And if a big tree fell, it's possible that it may have broke that line. So that's going to be happening in the next week, but we have started landscape cleanup, if you will. Again, this would be the small things, the branches, the leaves, things that maybe are in your flower bed. That started yesterday. I saw them on Edgemont yesterday morning. So they're working down Edgemont and then around and then back over to Villa Homes. So what do we got here? Make sure I didn't miss somebody here. Nope. If I missed you, just repost it, but I'm at the end. Here we go. Yeah, again, just remember that this is a state in Villa Homes, so that the association won for the five people, the five condominium associations: Wedgwood, Sutton Walk, Southmont Cove, Waterford, and Somerset Villas is at 2. But a quick answer to your question: I do not have any idea at this point when Wedgwood can get back into the units. I think the communication that came out from your board stated that as soon as we know, they will put that out. But I think we're days, if not a week away from truly understanding how fast this process will work. It will work faster for sure if nobody's around, but I don't have any more than that for you. Will all refrigerators, stoves, etc. be removed? No, not necessarily. Those won't automatically be removed. I mean, they're not at a point where they're checking that, so they won't be removed automatically. But that's something that once you're back in your unit, you can take care of. Yeah, this question kind of just explains what they've done to all of their personal property. They washed everything and put it in the shower in heavy bags. Other non-porous items were left on the lanai after they were wiped down with bleach. Yeah, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna tell you what you have to do. I will just tell you this, that most flood events with non-Cat 3 water, the biggest issue is mold. And one way to remediate mold is bleach or with some sort of vinegar solution where you can wipe it down and you dry it out because mold needs moisture to grow. Cat 3 water has more than just mold associated with it. So, again, the gold standard for remediating Cat 3 water, the gold standard, the 100% way to do it is to dispose of any porous item that came in contact with it. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just letting you know that's what the standard is. And then I think everybody, community-wide, needs to make their own decisions on their personal property with how they're going to handle that. Should we be putting furniture out in our garage if we took a lot of water on the garage walls? Won't they be painting them? Yeah, I mean, I don't know how quick they'll get to painting garage walls, but essentially, if you've seen a unit that they've been into full scale, any personal property is covered with plastic. So, anything you leave there is going to be pushed into a small pile, and then they'll put plastic around it to protect it. So, as long as whatever you put in your garage isn't impeding them getting around to cutting drywall, et cetera, then you shouldn't have a problem with that. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody. I don't think I did. Anybody else? I'm out of questions again, so fire away if you have one. All right, doesn't look like anybody's typing, so I think we'll close it down. I don't know the schedule tomorrow. We may not do one tomorrow and do one Saturday. But again, I'll definitely include that information in the daily update. And if there's not a Zoom tomorrow, I will put that there's not one, but don't let that hold you back from shooting me an email or anything. So thanks for coming in, and everybody, I hope you guys have a good day and take care out there. Thanks.